Hey everyone, it's Katina and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how I got into all of the UCs and giving you guys a few college application tips. I know that the UC application just opened up on August 1st, so a lot of you guys are probably looking for some tips and some helpful ways to transfer or just get into any UC. I did do the UC app coming out of high school too, but I guess this will probably be more centered toward transfers, but a lot of these tips are pretty much adaptable for if you're in high school too. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start off with listing all of the UCs that I got into. I know that the title says how I got into all of the UCs. Well, I got into all of the ones that I applied to. I just didn't apply to all of them. I didn't apply to Merced and Santa Cruz. Those were just two schools that I knew for sure I did not want to go to. And I know that it's the same application. You can literally just like click 2 more buttons, but by clicking 2 more buttons, you also have to pay like $70 more. So I was just like, I'm pretty confident in myself that I don't really need those schools. I know I don't want to go to them, so I just left them out. So I got into Cal, UCLA, UCSD, UCI, UC Santa Barbara, UC Davis, and UC Riverside. And I received scholarships from Cal, UCI, and UC Riverside. Yeah, so those are all of the schools that I applied to and got into, and the ones that I got the scholarships from as well. From Cal, it was just like a transfer scholarship is what they called it. The UCI one was like for the honors and it was for regents, which is like when you have an exceptionally high GPA or something, or like if you're just an exceptional student, they usually give you regents. And as a regent scholar, you usually get like priority in housing and all of that. It's like getting the perks of what athletes get. And then I don't really remember what my Riverside scholarship was. It might have been regents too, but I just remember them offering me a lot of money. And I turned down all 3 of those to go to UCLA. My parents were super happy about that. Okay, but anyways, just to kind of give you guys a background of myself as a student at community college, I had a 4.0 GPA. It's kind of confusing though. I think that some of the schools counted it as a 4.0 and some counted my GPA a little bit lower. Yeah, so I took calculus in high school, but the way that my high school did it is they did it through Cal State Fullerton for some reason. Even though we were still learning at our high school and everything, they administered it through Fullerton for some reason, so we got like college credits, which they made sound like a really great advantage, but it kind of hurt me because I didn't do that well. It was like my senior year and I wasn't really into school anymore, so I didn't really try and I got some pretty bad grades in calc. So I still had to report that though when I transferred because they're technically college credits. So that ended up lowering my GPA, and I think that some schools counted it as a 3.83 instead. So I don't really know if my GPA counted as a 4.0 or 3.83. I'm pretty sure that at the schools that I received scholarships, they were probably counting my GPA as a 4.0, but I think that UCLA counted it as a 3.83. Okay, so basically my extracurriculars that I did at community college were all centered around psychology and research. So I was part of Psi Beta, which is the Psychology Honor Society in community colleges. Through that club, I conducted research, and I also had a position on the board where I was like a representative for my club and I would work with student government too. So I kind of got to like spin that in my favor because I had not only a board position, but then I also had student government involvement. So even though like my student government involvement was only like bi-monthly meetings with student government and like giving ideas for clubs and like helping coordinate that, I still got to spin it in my favor in the application and make it seem like I was really involved in student government, which I mean I did contribute ideas, but I wouldn't say I was like directly involved in student government. But yeah, I guess my biggest point for how I got into all of the UCs was being well-rounded. So not only did I have a 4.0 GPA, but I got to show that I was involved in a lot of research and I was heavily involved in this club, which also helped me be involved with student government. So I kind of had those three things working for me with GPA, research, and student government. So I had like a good combination of like extracurriculars with the academic pursuit. So I would say the best way to guarantee that you get into all of the UCs is to be on top of your shit. And by that I mean to be extremely organized. Especially if you want to transfer in 2 years, you have to be extremely organized and basically plan out your classes for the next 2 years. And if you mess up, there's always summer to make up classes. That's what I did. So my first semester I took 6 classes and I ended up like not even really needing, I think 2 or 3 of them. And that was just like my fault for taking extra classes. So because of that, I took 2 summer classes, and that kind of helped me stay on track. And for the rest of my semesters, I only ended up taking 4 classes at a time. With the summer session, you can even start your classes like the summer after you graduate high school. I didn't. I just like took that summer off and did nothing. But that's totally a way to get ahead. Even if you're trying to transfer in like a year and you like really need to be organized and on top of everything, I would definitely take advantage of the summer before you actually start. So that will also kind of help you get a little more comfortable and transition, because when I started in the fall at community college, I was like very nervous and just like had no idea what was going on, and it took me a little bit of time to transition, and I honestly only got involved like my second semester. So in the fall I didn't do anything, I just did classes and went home. But in the spring, that's when I got involved in the Club Psi Beta, and that really helped me to build up my application. Make sure that you fill out all of the relevant paperwork. I will get into the application and all of those details, but when you're applying for UCLA and Cal, there are extra forms. With UCLA, there's a program called TAP, which is the Transfer Alliance program, and I think that's only for social science majors, but it basically like guarantees you admission, because if you did the honors program at your community college, if you like successfully finished 5 honors classes, I believe, then you fill out this form, and then it guarantees that they look at your application before other normal applications, and when they do that, your percentage of being accepted is way higher. I think it's like 90% guaranteed or something that you get accepted. And then with Cal, there are supplemental forms. So after you send in your application, I think in January it was, there's like a few other forms that you need to fill out about your grades and stuff that you received in the fall and the classes that you're taking in the spring. So make sure to stay organized and be on top of all of that. Okay, so with the application, once again, the first thing that I have to say is to be organized, especially with all of your paperwork that you have to turn in after you send in your application, because if you make one mistake, you're out. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, and it's really, really harsh that way, because there are just so many people trying to get into these schools, and if they can knock you out, they're going to, so that they have less applications to look at. Make sure that you take advantage of your community college counselors to help you out with everything, and go to several counselors if you feel like one is kind of flaky and doesn't really know everything. Especially if you have an honors counselor, that really helped me because I felt like they were the most knowledgeable about everything. Okay, so what I talked about being well-rounded and stuff, obviously you're going to put in that information in your application, but the way that you can really expand upon those things are in your essays. So you want to write very powerful essays. The UC application changed where I believe you have like 3 essay questions that you get to choose from, and then there's one that's like the same for everyone that you do. So there are 4 total. And because they're very short, they're 350 words, you want to make sure that you're making them very powerful and meaningful within that short space. Make sure to express your emotions and like why you belong at that school, what you've done as a transfer to prepare you for that school, and also your experience as a transfer and how that's shaped you as a person, because you have a unique perspective. You're not a person who went straight to a 4-year university. You are a transfer, and what you learn as a transfer I think is very meaningful and impactful, and you have a different kind of background to you because you've gone through a different experience to get to that school, so you really want to highlight that. For example, like for me, I kind of highlighted that I was not completely ready for a 4-year university out of high school. I'm sure I could have made it, but because I chose not to go through that path, you want to highlight why you didn't and what you've done to grow as a person. So I didn't really get that heavily involved in an organization and passionate about it in high school, so I highlighted that I was very passionate about Psi Beta and psychology and research. And kind of going off what I said before, you just really want to highlight what you've learned as a transfer that's going to prepare you for the four-year university. So in my case, being so much more involved in an organization and being involved in research has prepared me for a research university such as the UCs, so that connected very well. And also, showing growth is just very important. I think that's what they want to see as students, is that growth and becoming a better student, trying to pursue the best that you can be. So showing that you've improved and have become more involved at community college is a great way to show that growth. Okay, and just a few tips for how to write the essays, because I know that starting them can be very difficult, and I definitely procrastinated on it and had a lot of trouble starting them, is I would outline your essays. So first, choose the questions that you want to answer, and under them just kind of like put bullet points about what you think you want to talk about. You'll probably just choose a few of those bullet points because you want to make sure that they're cohesive and they go together, but just put whatever is coming to your mind. Just write freely, like write some notes, just like put whatever is coming out of your head onto there. You want like a shitty first draft, and it's not even a draft, it's just putting down your ideas, outlining. And for the prompts, choose prompts that you really have something meaningful to say about. It's okay if there's like one, maybe two that you're like not that passionate about, but like two would be half of them. So hopefully maybe just like one you can make a little bit like if you're not so confident about it. But try to choose something that you think really connects to you and your experience as a transfer. Like basically they can sniff out the BS. They're getting so many applications, and if you're not like clearly stating what you've done, how you've grown, how you've become a better student, they're kind of gonna see through that once they're reviewing like thousands and thousands of applications. So you want to make sure that you at least have like one thing that's like very solid to you and brands you as a student. I think that's the most important thing that I kind of repeat in a lot of my college advice videos, is branding yourself as a student. You want to kind of think of yourself as a business, and you are marketing yourself to a college so that they invest in you by accepting you into their college so that you can study there and grow yourself as a student or a business even more. So those are all of my tips and my quick application tips for the UC app. If you guys want a little bit more detail, maybe I can share exactly which prompts that I chose and what I wrote about. I can do that for you guys. If you would find that helpful, please just let me know in the comments. Don't be shy. And like this video and subscribe if you guys found this helpful. I hope that it was. And I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!